Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt. Follow me on Twitter at ConRadicalness. Follow me on Instagram at new_ConRadicalness. Joined alongside by Mike Wallace. As always, follow him on Twitter at MyMikeCheck. Mike, what's going on, baby?
Hey, man, did we plan this? I don't even think we planned this today. You know what I mean? You represent Tuskegee. I'm representing my alma mater, Grambling State. So it just worked out, man. That's symmetry. When you can start communicating without actually having a conversation about it, that means we got something special going here.
We both try and wear black shirts when we come on these shows. So either to do Huddle, so either a HBCU night shirt from the Grizzlies or a alma mater shirt. I've got a couple of like graphic tees with black superheroes on them. Luke Cage. One of the Huddle shirts or hoodies. We try to do that. It's been a while since I've worn this one, Mike, because I had no clue where it was.
Ooh.
I found it, and this is why. We are already off topic. Why I do not put stuff where they belong, because I lose it. This was in my...
Whoa. Hold up. This is why you do not put things where they belong.
Yes.
Because you lose it.
Yes. You know where this was?
Where was it?
It was in my T-shirt dresser drawer.
That's where it's supposed to be.
Exactly. I had no clue it was there.
Then where do you put it then? How do you find it if you don't know where you're going to be putting it?
So...
if it's in random places.
So... I know the random places where the shirts are.
Okay.
Also, I'm not big into folding and putting up clothes.
Okay.
I'm real big in. I've got a bit, and I need to get
junk pile.
I've got
a junk pile.
Well, worse. I've got a blue bin, like a laundry bin, for clean clothes, and they come straight out the dryer, and I just drop them in the bin and keep it pushing. And
so if it's
in the bin, I will eventually, in digging through it, be like, there's that shirt. I've been looking for this shirt for like 2 months. Couldn't find it because I'm digging through the bin. And finally, I say, you know what? To hell with this. It's in that bin, and I'm folding my clothes this week.
Until you get to the bottom of it.
Until I get to the bottom. And then I will find, and in the process of folding them, I will put them up. And in the process of folding all the clothes, I will know exactly where this shirt is.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, it's not in the bin. And then time came to put up the clothes. It's like, there it is in the drawer.
Okay. I see. So you have organized chaos. That's what it is. It's organized chaos that only you would know where it would be.
The missus hates it.
That's what, she does. So they call that organized chaos.
Okay.
Yes.
Then that's
I'm
what
the exact opposite of that, man. And I guess that's why this symmetry kind of works here, man, because I have specific places where everything that I have that I need on a day-to-day basis goes. So if it's not there, then automatically somebody moved it. It's never me. It's never me. Until today, the last 48 hours, and I know we're already off. We're already off on the topic.
Mike, 3 minutes off topic. It's
I lost or misplaced my my earbuds, right? The earbuds that I use, when I'm doing Zoom calls and all those kind of things. And also when I run and do my, my workouts. And there's no reason why I shouldn't have been in either A, B, or possibly C.
Possibly C.
And I hit the A, I hit the B, and I hit the C. It wasn't there. So I spent 2 days looking for my earbuds, man. And then I finally realized, you know what? There's one other place that I probably left them, and that's exactly where it was.
It's always
my
the last place
workout was thrown off because I had to go somewhere where I don't normally work out, and it was a part of the day when I don't normally do it. And I left my earbuds in the compartment inside my glove box, man. And it was there.
Getting out of routine.
Getting out of routine, man.
To do it every time.
Yeah. Just like we do with the show. We're out of routine. We're out of routine. But that explains the organized chaos that we rock with, man. And I'm always looking forward to these shows, and we got plenty to get to, man. It's going to be another great episode.
Absolutely. Vickers, Coach Vic. No longer at Norfolk State. We'll talk about where he is now. We'll also discuss some boxing, sad boxing news with the passing of George Foreman over the weekend. Got us to thinking about a pick six of greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. So we're definitely going to talk about that. And Mike, if there is time, I've got to get a sounder for this segment. I got to work on that. But if there's time, we're going to put Mike Wallace on the spot. Before we do all of that, Tennessee State made a coaching hire, Mike.
Fine. Yep.
They made one. Reggie Barlow is going to Tennessee State to be the head football coach for the Tennessee State Tigers. He has a lot of coaching experience. Recently, he was with the DC Defenders of the UFL. He had been there for 2 seasons. I do believe he was UFL Coach of the Year his first season there. He has 8 seasons at Alabama State. He has another 5 seasons at Virginia State, 49-42 record at Alabama State with a couple of SWAC division championships, SWAC East Division championships, 34-16 record at Virginia State. 2-time Black College National Champion at Virginia State in 2011 and 2017. Yeah, this is a good hire.
Yeah.
This is a good hire. I don't think he was on my list because I didn't think he'd leave the Defenders.
A coordinator position at a successful.
Was he a coordinator or a head coach? I think he was a head coach. He was a head coach. Right. I had a couple of their coordinators on the list.
Okay.
I didn't have him on the list as head coach because I didn't think he'd leave pro league to come back to college. But lo and behold, he did. Tennessee State went out there and got a solid coaching hire. Mike,
Yes,
what do
yes.
you, when you saw the news, what did you think?
Well, I bit on the pump fake the first time, right, with the Jeff Fisher. I bit on that, and it was because, even a couple of weeks ago when we did the podcast, I mentioned Jeff Fisher as a possibility that they should consider going after, just because he was local, he was there, and I know Eddie George had a great relationship with the Fisher family. His son, Jeff Fisher's son, was on Eddie George's staff at Tennessee State. So when the rumors first came out that they were zeroing in on Jeff Fisher or Fisher was interested, I said, okay, it's out of the box thinking, but it makes sense, and Fisher would be a great ambassador for the program. And then the president, they've had 2 or 3 presidents in the last 3-4 weeks, right? Yeah. Because of the transition and the turnover. I'm being facetious with the 2 to 3 weeks thing, but they've had a couple of different changes in administration. They're going through some issues at Tennessee State, so you really wasn't sure what to believe. But where they landed with Coach Barlow, man, it's one of those situations where that is about as good as you can imagine getting at this stage of the game. Spring practice is already pretty much over with for a lot of these teams in terms of preparing. He knows how to step in with professionalism. He's played at the NFL level. He's coached at a high level when it comes to professional sports. And this is a great get. And I think that, give him some time, give him the same kind of time and grace that Eddie George got, and I think he can continue the momentum that Tennessee State has had. So this is a big-time win. Because even if you stack this up independently against the coaching hires that were made this offseason, I'm not sure if there's a better coaching hire that was made in the HBCU ranks overall. And you got this guy in late March, and that tells you, or mid-March or late March, that tells you how special this could potentially be for Tennessee State.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100% from, okay, if it's this late into the game, you kind of just want to get somebody in there, and the body you got is really, really qualified for the job and would have been a good hire if something had to happen and you had to get a new coach in November or December, right? This is a really good hire, made all the better by the circumstances around it, how late into the game you are from a coaching search standpoint, and they'll have no choice but to give them time. We've talked around it. We hadn't delved deep into the Tennessee State financial issues. But there are real serious financial issues at Tennessee State. The state of Tennessee is looking like they're going to, at least it feels like they're going to go in there at any given moment and start making their own cuts and slashes and start running Tennessee State from a state legislative standpoint. So if that's the case, you're not going to be able to just let coaches come and go. You're not going to be able to fire coaches for underperforming. He's going to coach out this contract. I feel 1,000% certain that unless something off-field scandalous happens, he's coaching out this contract no matter what. So he'll have time to get things the way he would like it. Right. Now, is he going to have the financial resources and those types of things? Probably not, because again, the state is going. It feels imminent that they're coming in there. So having a coach who's coached at HBCUs, one, Alabama State and Virginia State, and understands the cultural component. While it's not Tennessee State, there is a certain cultural connection that all of these HBCU programs have. So boom, he understands that, and then having the budget at Virginia State that he had to work with from a recruiting and traveling type expenses standpoint, I think it's something that he can manage as well. Yeah. And so there's those two things there. He'll be, from a money standpoint, I think he'll be a bit at a bit of a disadvantage in the Big South OVC, just because like they won't have the same type of money to spend on travel or on recruiting and things of that nature. But I look forward to seeing what he can do.
Well, the thing about that though, and you raised some very valiant points. The financial issues that Tennessee State is facing absolutely will factor in how he can build out a staff.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, it's going to factor in to some of the upgrades that are going to be needed to keep them competitive with some of their.
See, I don't think any of those will be. It'll be a while before I think Tennessee State gets an upgrade.
Now, having said all of that, though, football is your moneymaker at HBCUs and at schools of that nature, that magnitude.
All of the
FCS.
schools. All the schools.
So that's going. You can only shortcut your biggest. Your biggest draw by so much because that's going to fund everything else.
Yeah.
So there are going to be some opportunities where, again, Eddie George had this team playing against, North Dakota State, which comes to Tennessee State this year. Also Ohio State, not Ohio State, but Notre Dame.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, that was $1 million payday. So they're still going to have to be able to play those kind of games to generate that kind of revenue to help lift the entire athletic department. So that's another layer of pressure and resources, the lack of equality in terms of what you're going to have to go do in order to keep your program afloat. So I'm sure Barlow knows everything that's going on about, what his limitations are. If he's smart, which I know he is, he's gone in and asked the right questions. You're not just going to go take this job and give up what you already have if you don't know for sure that you're going to have at least a fighting chance to be able to stabilize the program to some degree. And let's hope Tennessee State does because, they're a flagship HBCU, one of the biggest, highest enrollment HBCUs that we have in the country. And, we want to continue to see them progress the way that Eddie George had them progressing over the last 3-4 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. It would have been nice from a financial standpoint for Tennessee State, I'm sure, now that Coach George is gone, if they had $400,000 for one game like they were going to get from the Southern Heritage Classic this year. I hope that the Alabama A&M game and I hope that the North Dakota State game is Howard's coming back.
Yeah, Howard comes back.
So I hope that Howard game is all of them are big gates for the Tennessee State football team.
Especially now, I'm not sure. No, that stadium, the new stadium, won't be ready for next season. I think that new stadium in Nashville has a couple more seasons.
Yeah, it's got a while.
So yeah, they will be able to have those extra home games. Again, at home, where you hope that the home attendance is going to be something worthwhile for them to be able to recoup some of that money that they're going to need to sustain that program for sure.
But you knew you had it from Fred Jones and the Southern Heritage Classic. Which makes pulling out of the Classic. If you think you can do better, go do better. Absolutely. But if you don't and you're unable to, it's a head scratching decision, right? If you're pulling out
to a
of
certain
there.
extent, and that goes into a different conversation. But I can also see how, hey, I know I'm gonna get $400,000, but I know I have to come to Memphis. I have to pay for hotels and lodging and all of those expenses that come with traveling on the road for 2 days. Moving an entire football facility on the road, that has to come out of that $400,000. Or I can play a home game where I don't have those expenses and everything I'm making, my profit margin is going to be more increased. So, but again, you have to have the home gate to get you to that point. You know what I mean? So,
and Mike, if they don't get the home gate this year,
then it becomes I'm
not sure if they can schedule a team to get them a home gate. Here's the highlights of the home schedule. John Merritt Classic, North Carolina A&T.
That's a great game.
It's right off the bat, off the top of the year.
Yeah.
The next week, North Dakota State.
Okay, that's a home and home agreement, right?
Then the Legacy Series starts with Alabama A&M. Then you throw in there homecoming is Howard. So those are four.
Yeah, those are plus games.
Yeah, four premier games all at home. And if that gate isn't.
But none of those games, I would say, I wouldn't trade out of any of those games to come to Memphis for the Southern Heritage Classic. And that's not to say anything against the Southern Heritage Classic.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm just saying North Carolina A&T is a program that's on your level. Both of these teams are HBCUs that are playing outside of HBCU conferences. So that game should be an important game. And A&T will travel for that. It's early enough in the season where they have a new head coach as well, too. So that's going to be a good one there. The John Merritt Classic, That is the A&T game?
That's A&T
Okay,
game.
homecoming is going to sell. You know that, right? The question is the North Dakota State game. And I don't know what the contractual elements are there, how much you guys split or how much they split between earnings and that kind of thing for that home and home. That's the one game where I might say, is it better for me to go to Memphis where I can have that game in Memphis in the Southern Heritage Classic would mean more? Or are we going to be good enough where we're going to draw enough for that North Dakota State game? That's the only game that I would trade out of if I'm Tennessee State. That's the only one that I would look at and say, yeah, this might be a risky one right here for here.
All right, we'll talk about this some more on the other side. This plus Coach Vickers news, plus we've got a great pick six for you guys all lined up coming up here next on HBCU Huddle on the Grind City Media Network right here in the Built for Tough studio.
I never in a million years would have ever thought that John Cena's final run would be as a heel.
I love it.
I love it.
Once they saw this from The Rock.
They knew it. Everybody knew it except for Cody, which was so good.
Great camera work by WWE.
And then the kick. Yeah, I don't think WWE gets enough credit for the camera work and the production quality. I mean, it is incredible.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
We are in March, which is Women's History Month.
True.
And we were talking about how do we kick off the show? What can we talk about? And we were like, why don't we talk about women's shoes? The Sabrina one. Okay.
Can't go
good
wrong.
Right?
That's a good shoe.
And the two, you could argue, is even better. But the one's
you can't
fine.
have the two without the one.
Yeah,
though.
in the month of February, the Sabrina 2 was the second most worn shoe in the NBA in minutes played.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Debo traded from San Francisco to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick. There's no other sport where you would get a player of his ilk for a 5th-round pick.
Over under total yards for Debo. If they set it at 1,000, you think he hits that over?
Total yards?
Total yards from scrimmage, total yards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Would you mind standing in front so everybody could get a good glimpse of this? This can't be the look of the season. This is not the look of the season, Jessica. Like.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Today it's all about the Memphis Grizzlies and Grind City Media opening up our arms, our professionalism, our experiences to Jackson State University for another 2025 externship. And what this is all about is giving Jackson State faculty, students, and everyone that's in that program an opportunity to work side by side with our multiple departments, everyone from ticket sales and MVPs all the way up to our executive levels, Grind City Media, our broadcast partners, our on-air personalities, our behind-the-scenes personalities, sales and marketing staff. The Jackson State group is going to touch every single part of our departments so that they can have a hands-on experience and learn what it's about to be a professional with a sports organization.
We learn something new every time we come here. And when we see that look in a student's eye that says, this is what I want to do, I want to be these individuals. And when the individuals take out of their professional time to really come and talk to the students, it means the world to our students. It means the world to our program.
The panel was really, really great. Just to see people who are doing potentially what I want to do, it was very inspiring to hear their stories. And what resonated with me was that they looked like me, they came from where I came from. And it just gave me motivation to I could do it too.
I feel like this opportunity is one of the best opportunities that I've been able to experience here at Jackson State University. It has allowed me to be in this position to be successful, and I have to put in the work as well. It's not gonna become easy every day. If you can, or if you have the interest to, I feel like you should definitely pursue what you want to do, because you could potentially be in my position right now doing this exact same thing, getting the knowledge to be better in life.
It's a mission and it's a passion of mine. As an HBCU guy myself, I know how important it is to establish these on-ramps to give us opportunities and also to give us hope that what we say we want to do in college and what we want to do as a career is within our reach. And with the Grizzlies, Grind City Media, and Jackson State working together, it is definitely within the reach.
Welcome back. That was us helping out Jackson State, letting them come through, do an externship for a day. It was a whole lot of fun. Great time was had. Love sharing my story and hearing other people's stories. When we get to do that and reach back out to a younger generation, a future generation of media members in some sort of capacity, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that, when we reach our point in this stage of our careers, no matter where you are, you have an opportunity to kind of share your resources and share your knowledge. And, those of us who learn have to become teachers, and those of us who have to become givers. And, I'm motivated by that statement in everything that we do. And, it's important because both of us were educated by HBCUs, right? Both of us needed helping hands to get into the industry. And I didn't always have someone available to be able to show me exactly what I dreamed about doing and see that so early in my developmental stage. And, that's what, part of this JSU externship opportunity is. This is our second time doing it in the last 3 years. And it's something that, we're going to continue to do and open that opportunity up to even more HBCUs sort of in our Grind City Media footprint. So, that's something that's important to us. And, we're always having students, whether it's something as public and as big as the externship there, or even if it's just somebody coming up and hanging out with CJ in the studio and chopping it up and seeing what he does day in and day out, man. That's part of what it's a responsibility, it's an obligation, but it's more than anything an opportunity. And I love those kind of opportunities, and that's why I'm still in the game, 25 going on 30 years into it now. If I'm not doing those kind of things, then I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, opportunity is what it's about. And anytime that I can offer an opportunity for somebody to get a better feel for what it is this industry is on my side of things, I love doing that. I'd love to help out in any way that I can. A lot of emails get sent around this place, Mike. A lot of requests are made. I made sure to reply to that email from Dr. Kemp when it came across my feed or email consciousness, whatever it's called, because I wanted to be there to lend a voice of support and encouragement, and what little bit of wisdom I have, I wanted to pass that on to those students.
I think you're a two-time panelist now.
Yeah.
We've had two, and you might be the only two-time panelist.
I think it was the exact same panel.
It was different. It was a different panel. It was a different panel for sure.
I feel like Shet and Erica.
Erica definitely wasn't on it because she wasn't with us at that time.
Yeah, she was. She wasn't?
No, she wasn't with us at that time. Well, we had Ronnie though. Ronnie was on the panel with you.
Ronnie was on it.
That's what I'm saying.
Ronnie
so we had a different, and then we also had someone from community engagement was on there as well too. So you may be the only two-time JSU Grizzlies
Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna throw that on the resume,
man.
Mike Wallace.
Yeah, you're a two-time panelist, man, and it's good. I want thank you again for being a part of it, man. And I know how much those opportunities mean to you as well too, man. But those students had a blast. I was actually at Jackson State earlier this week, man, for some things, and they kept asking me, when can we do this again? When they're already looking forward to the next opportunity. So I can't wait either, man.
Can't wait. We were talking about Tennessee State's home gate during the break. We were talking about their home slate during the break as it pertains to which games you'd give up for the Southern Heritage Classic. If there are any home games you'd give up for the Southern Heritage Classic. Brought up a great point about homecoming. Homecoming should sell well, one would think, but I think Tennessee State has the same issues that everybody else has and in the HBCU sphere. Not everybody, most schools in the HBCU sphere, where homecoming, everybody's there. They don't always make it into the football stadium, though. And I think that's going to be difficult for Tennessee State on homecoming. We've been to homecoming a couple of times at TSU. It's a party outside of the stadium, and you walk in, and you're waiting on people to show up. It's like, they're still out there tailgating. They're going to tailgate the entire game. The Alabama A&M game, I think, is a game where you can move that to here to Southern Heritage Classic and play that game in Memphis and be guaranteed $400,000 every year, not just when there's a home game for you that particular year. But you bring up a good point about the travel costs. And the state is not here for the band traveling. Hell, the Tennessee State band didn't make it up to North Dakota State. Not North Dakota State. They didn't go to North Dakota State.
Montana.
They didn't go to Montana. They didn't go to Howard for homecoming.
No,
right?
didn't.
And that was a big thing also.
Yeah, they did.
So it's a lot of stuff
Which is
to try and figure
understandable,
out.
though, because, I mean, you're going to feature your homecoming band, for the most part in that situation. And that's a lot of money, man, to put when it comes to traveling, hundreds of people and equipment. So, yeah, it's just tough, lean times right now for Tennessee State. So, that makes sense. I know what you're saying. Go for the guaranteed money when you can in that situation. But I also know that if you can have a meaningful home game and a home gate, that's a regional game. Alabama A&M should have just as many people in that stadium.
So maybe
with the trip to come to Nashville.
A&M travels up.
Yeah, and they come up. So, you can both invest in that. You're both playing in an NFL stadium. Nashville is a destination city for this region. So that makes sense. Homecoming is going to be homecoming. You never sell out a homecoming game. I'm saying sell out meaning sell it to somewhere else. Right. It's homecoming for a reason.
Right.
You're coming home
different.
from that.
Yeah.
So that's going to be there no matter what. And then the other one, as we talked about during the break, was North Dakota State. And North Dakota is a different beast. You know what I mean? They have tremendous home support. And the makeup, the demographic that you're talking about with North Dakota State, it's not your HBCU crowd. It's a completely different crowd. But having said that, Nashville is the kind of city that would be welcoming, and that crowd for North Dakota State would love to come to a city like Nashville. So that game might be one that's a bonus in terms of a bigger gate than you expect too. So certainly something to think about. I like where Fred Jones' head is when it comes to Southern Heritage Classic, and they're basically going to just partner with UAPB, Arkansas Pine Bluff, right now, and see if they can maneuver their way into some meaningful SWAC type matchups, which is what we're going to get this coming September when Arkansas Pine Bluff plays Alcorn State right here in Memphis for the Southern Heritage Classic.
Absolutely. March Madness is upon us, Mike.
Yeah,
I spent all last week.
We got Sweet 16 coming up and
Sweet
Final
16.
Four after that. So yeah.
I spent all last week watching games, men's and women's. I was robbed. The game that made me the angriest, Mike.
Okay.
Norfolk State, Maryland. I put money on it, Mike.
Oh, you're talking about
on the women's side,
okay,
Mike. On the women's side,
okay.
because that Norfolk State women's team I have fallen in love with. It's like, diamonds out there. They got 30 wins, only 4 losses. They've got 3 tournament championships in the MAC the past 3 seasons, or 3 of the past 4. Like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna upset Maryland, and they had a chance there. And then the third quarter happened, and not that Maryland pulled away, but the foul discrepancy in that game, Mike, was one of the things. Like, that did not look like a foul from where I was sitting.
Yeah.
It was to the point to where Larry Vickers was asked in his presser, hey, what did you think? Like, put more respect on what we do as a program. We are 4-time regular season champs. We've got 3 tournament champs the past 4 years. We only have 4 losses. We're 30-4. We beat Auburn. We beat Missouri. Like, we are beat Alabama and Missouri. I can't remember who they beat, but hey, we are a good basketball program. We are supposed to be able to keep pace with Maryland. It's supposed to be a close game when we play Maryland. They're not. It's not close because we're fouling. Just put some respect when you see the Spartans come through. I was like, hell yeah, that's my Coach Vickers right there. Next year, Coach Vickers, Norfolk State, all the way to the Sweet 16. And then the news broke that Larry Vickers is leaving Norfolk State to go to Auburn. His salary is doubled.
Of course.
Legitimately doubled. This is a great move for him. A great head coach. Did some pretty significant things, some tremendous things at Norfolk State. 3-time MEAC Coach of the Year, 3-time MEAC tourney champ, 4-time regular season MEAC champion. He's got a win percentage in the MEAC of 700, if I recall correctly. Number 4 mid-major ranking as well. 177 career wins at his time in Norfolk, Virginia. Hate to see him go, but hey, tip of the cap This is what the reward is. If you do something like this, if you're this good of a coach at one of these HBCUs, somebody's going to come coming to call and break that bread for you.
Man, much respect to Auburn University and their athletic department, their leadership, for being able to see the potential that Vickers had, the performance that Vickers delivered, and understanding that, hey, this is a Power 4 program, and we have a chance to go and get one of the most talented, proven coaches in college basketball, let alone HBCU, and elevate him into this type of opportunity. What we do know is that he can coach a program. He can lead a program. He's a great communicator. His success speaks for itself, and you just want to see him given the resources to be able to go do it on the big stage, and he has a chance to do that now with Auburn women's basketball. It couldn't have happened to a better situation, man, and you got to respect Norfolk. I've said it before. Norfolk State University is an HBCU sleeping giant when it comes to the potential that they have, the region that they're in, the recruiting, the resources that they commit to sports. And we've seen it time and time and time again. Now they got Mike Vick. Coach Vickers just left to go. He took their team to the tournament. And then the men's side went to the tournament from that standpoint. So they have a great track and field program. Their facilities at Dick Price Stadium was ahead of the curve when it came to HBCU athletics facilities. And they just continue to stack on top of great time performances and resources, man. And Norfolk State, if you're in that region, man, that's the place where you want to be. And they're going to replace them with another quality coach who's going to get another opportunity. But that says a lot about the respect that HBCUs, when you do well at that level, you have a chance to elevate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Auburn this past season was 12-18 overall, 3-13 in the SEC. That's a tough conference to be in, but I trust Coach Vickers to go out there and get the job done. We got more fun stuff coming for you on the other side. Mike's pick 6, his 6 best heavyweight boxers of all time. Plus, if there's time, we're gonna put them on the spot, y'all. So don't go anywhere. Right here, Grind City Media.
We touched on this earlier, the panel here, about what really has been the mainstay of the Grizzlies, and that's Jaren Jackson Jr. Trip has just been awesome.
He's posting guys up. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's physical, and he's scoring all type of ways.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Tony was the defensive guy, but Zebo was the offensive guy. So you could speak to this. It's way worse when you're getting doubled, right?
I had went through that for it. When I was in Portland, me on the team, you got triple. You hear me, Rose? You can't talk about those. You got to talk about triple.
You got triple team.
This man was scoring on 3 dudes.
Swing, T.A.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. We will get into all things Grizzlies, but first and foremost, a big congratulations to the Memphis Tigers for locking up at least a share of the AAC title. First time since joining the American Athletic Conference that they are regular season conference champs.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
You've coached a lot of different versions of the SEC, and obviously there's never been one deeper than this. What's it like been coaching in this?
The reason for the league being so good is the commitment. Commitment to coaching, commitment to facilities, commitment to the NIL across the board. There is not anybody in our league that's not investing in all those things.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back, HBCU Huddle. Grind City Media, built for tough studios is where we sit. RIP, sad news over the weekend. George Foreman passed away. Mike Tyson and others offered their condolences to a true boxing legend, one of the premier sports figures of the 20th century. Mike Tyson said on Twitter, condolences to George Foreman's family. His contributions to boxing and beyond will never be forgotten. Mike, you were around for Foreman's like heyday.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah. Well, it depends on which heyday we're talking about, because he's had 3 different acts where he elevated himself to just global prominence, right? I mean, it started in the 70s, it started in the 68 Olympics, where he was a gold medal winner. And then, he became a heavyweight champion early, right? From that standpoint, knocked out Joe Frazier. I wasn't around for that part of his
Right.
dominance. But I was born right in the midst of that in the mid 70s. And when you talk about, his climb, his fall, then he came back in his 40s, and I was in my teenage years and growing up, going to college when he came back and won the heavyweight champion in the 40s, right?
Yeah.
And that was the George Foreman that
when he was 40, not in 1940, but when he was 40.
Yeah, in his 40s.
Yeah.
And he beat Michael Moore, knocked out Michael Moore to win his championship. I remember watching that fight on pay-per-view, and it was a big time. He was such a gregarious figure, a grandfatherly figure at that point, and he made you realize that before LeBron James is doing what he's doing now at 40, before Tom Brady did what he did at 40, George Foreman was one of the first guys to do it at that level, man, and you just got to tip your cap to him. And then he had another act after that, and perhaps his biggest performance was as a businessman. The George Foreman grill, we all had them. All of our families have had a George Foreman grill, and that made him basically a billionaire. In terms of what he was able to gross. And to see him become someone who used their athletic career and then blossomed into a completely different career after that, there are not many people who have been able to do that and pull that off and accomplish it. And he certainly is one of them. And, you just got to, again, he was a great athlete, a historian. He's had some issues. He's had some quirkiness. He named all of his sons George. You know what I mean? There's George the Fourth, George the Fifth. Like, he's had, all of his sons had George in their name.
He named his daughters Georgina also.
I know. That's kind of, that tells you a little bit about George, man. But he was a beloved figure, and, condolences, a big time loss right there. We've lost some legends over the course of these last few years, and he certainly qualifies as one of those guys that goes down as one of the greatest ambassadors for boxing that we've ever seen, and one of the greatest athlete turned businessmen that we've ever seen as well.
Yeah, that George Foreman grill got me through my senior year of undergrad. I didn't know how to cook, didn't have a microwave. I was off campus. Like, how am I going to make these burgers? What am I supposed to do with these? I know. I'll just throw them on the Foreman grill and make it work. They were a pain to clean.
They were
a pain to clean.
They evolved, though, because then they became the ones where you can slide the platelets out and wash the plates by itself.
Oh, see,
and then slide it back in.
I didn't have
see,
that
they evolved. Like, the first ones were, you're right. Once you got them stained up and burned up, that was it, right? Yeah. All of your bread from there forward, everything you put in there was burned, had the burn marks. But they eventually evolved, man, and he eventually sold them and, sold to bigger companies, and they became, again, it was healthy too. Like, you could do a lot of things with a Foreman grill,
I
man.
didn't do anything healthy with mine. I hear people like, put salmon on there, threw vegetables on there. What? I had hot dogs, bologna, and burger meat. Like, that was it. That was the only thing on my phone.
That got me into the grilled chicken. I did, like, my first grilled chicken sandwiches were on Foreman grills.
Never dawned on me to throw a piece of chicken on there.
Wow.
It would have been cheaper if I'm pretty sure it would have been cheaper than ground beef. And leaner, certainly. But yeah, no, it never dawned on me.
Yes. Big time,
so,
man.
In honor of George Foreman, decided to do a pick six on 6 greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. Mike Wallace, take it away.
Here it is, man. Listen, I'm a big time boxing fan. I've always been that. Boxing has been in my family. It's been in my blood. I threw my hat in the ring a few times when I was young.
Really?
Before I got into basketball or football, boxing was my first sport. Okay. You know what I mean? And didn't last long. You get hit in boxing, right?
Yeah.
You tend to get hit. Yep. You tend to get knocked in your head, and you throw some blows, but you take some blows too, man. But I had a boxing gym that was right around the corner from where I grew up at, like literally right up the hill. And I participated there, man, as an amateur for a little bit. But anyway, boxing has always been in. I'm a big Sugar Ray Leonard fan. He grew up in my area, and we've seen a lot of boxing throughout the years from that standpoint. But my pick 6 of the greatest heavyweights. And this is tough. This list was tough. Mm-hmm. But I started off in honor of George Foreman's life and legacy. George Foreman makes number 6 for me for everything that we just spoke about in terms of who he is and what he's meant and how he continued to reinvent himself. Boxers typically don't do that. They get their best days in the ring. They take a lot of punishment and beatings, and then they become a shell of themselves. Some of them can't communicate. Some of them are broken down physically. But George Foreman just kept reinventing himself and got bigger and bigger and bigger in terms of his brand. So who he was as a boxer, as a champion, is also as a man and a philanthropist and a businessman makes him make this list right there. Number 5, Joe Louis. I thought about moving him a lot higher on my list because of the historical reference to Joe Louis and what he meant historically, being, having the championship for, almost a decade straight without losing it as a heavyweight. Basically the first black superstar that we've ever had in this country in terms of athletics was Joe Louis. The Max Schmeling victory at a time when, it was World War I, World War II. Joe Louis was at the heart of all of that. And for what he was, he lifted Harlem and New York and Black America. He was the face of what Black America athletes were and athletics were at that time. So he's number 5. Number 4, my guy, Mike Tyson.
And number 4.
He's number 4.
Okay.
Mike Tyson, that's the guy that I grew up seeing his entire career. Like, I remember fearing him. I remember, interviewing him. Like, he was one of the...
You interviewed Mike?
I've talked to Mike Tyson plenty of times, man. And, been in the same places with him. I was at his fight here in Memphis when he came. He fought twice in Memphis.
Yeah.
Lennox Lewis, which he lost, and then he beat Clifford Etienne at the Pyramid. And just being around Tyson and the weirdness and just all of that stuff, the danger, the energy in Mike Tyson, there is no greater feat that I've had. Like, if I had my Mount Rushmore of things that I've accomplished in my life, the very first time I beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson Punch-Out, I was in the 6th grade and I played hooky from school. I missed the bus because I started playing. My parents, my dad, I moved from my mom to my grandma, my mom to my dad, long story short. My dad had to go to work super early.
Yeah.
So I was letting myself out to go get on the bus. I started playing.
Yeah.
And then the bus was coming. I'm looking at the clock. The bus is coming. The bus is coming. But I'm already past Glass Joe. I'm on my way up to Soda Popinski. I'm rolling through.
You can't miss this. You can't stop the moment. Let me interject here real quick. You couldn't save. You could pause.
You couldn't.
You could pause and hope a power surge didn't come through and turn everything off. But that was the best you could do. And I'm assuming that you couldn't pause, go to school, and come back, and your father find out and not be furious that you left the TV on all damn day. So you couldn't. We didn't have an ability to save games.
No.
All right.
Once you win, you win.
And then once you lose, you go all the way back to the beginning.
You go all the way back.
You don't. There's not a checkpoint where it's like, okay, we'll save you. You beat these 3.
Then you start back in.
You can go back to third, right? No. You got to go all the way back to the beginning.
You got to go back to Glass Joe.
Yep.
Then you move your way all the way up, right? Soda Popinski, Glass Joe, Raging Bull, all of these guys. And you work your way up. And I'm like, man, I'm further than I ever got.
Yeah.
It's like 7:35. Like, the bus came 10 minutes ago. I'm like, I can't stop now.
No.
I went all the way through that morning, man, and got to Mike Tyson and fought Mike Tyson and beat Mike Tyson, right?
Oh.
And by the time I lost the first time, went back and did it again, and I beat him.
Yeah. And
I remember that day, man, and it was like, oh my God, I'm the only one in the house jumping around yelling. And I was like, damn, I got to go to school. I walked, and this true story. I literally walked 3 miles to get to school that day. I got there right after lunch and was able to get the rest of the day.
Back when it was okay to miss school a little bit.
It wasn't,
man. Did they call your dad?
Nah, they didn't call.
Yeah, because we call now. You call now.
The moment you are 5 minutes late,
somebody's calling you.
Alert or text or something like that. But back then, no, you had to basically, you could just say, hey, I missed the bus. Somebody dropped me off. You can come up with something.
Yeah.
And then you need a note after the fact. But yeah, I remember that, man. So I hung in there on Mike Tyson a little longer, but from 6th grade all the way up until adulthood, having covered him and seen him in person and talked to him, that was a tremendous guy for me. So Mike Tyson, number 4. And for him to be number 4, that tells you I have to have some special connections to these top 3. Number 3, only a heavyweight fighter I ever loved more than Mike Tyson and George Foreman that I saw in person was Evander Holyfield. I loved his story. I love how he was a smaller guy. He fought his way up from light heavyweight. He was robbed at the 1984 Olympic Games, and he didn't win gold. But then he went on and became a tremendous heavyweight fighter. I love this story. He was always talking about his spirituality and his faith. And then when he beat Mike Tyson, man, Tyson bit off his ear. Like, he was the guy that
Both
took out
ears.
the bully.
Yeah.
He took out the bully. And when he beat Mike Tyson, man, I was like, okay, good. I've never seen a guy more calm and more confident. And the fact that he never feared Tyson is what gave me my respect for Evander Holyfield. Most people got in the ring with Tyson and were shaking and scared. Holyfield didn't fear him, and he went straight at him, and he had Philippians on his trunks that day when he beat him, man. That was why Holyfield is my guy to this day, Evander Holyfield. Number 2, Jack Johnson, first black heavyweight champion at the turn of the century. He was defiant. He was one of those guys that white America despised and hated because he made a mockery of a lot of things that, you couldn't control him. He was powerful. He was strong. He got in the ring and backed it up, and no one dared mess with him. Yeah. One quick story about Jack Johnson, man. He said, I read his biography, his autobiography. I got his documentary on his life and everything about that. And, he said one time he was speeding. He was driving from, I believe, South Carolina or Atlanta or somewhere in the South going north to Philadelphia. And he got stopped. He was going like fast cars, white women. He was doing all of these different things that black men were just not supposed to do. He got pulled over somewhere between South Carolina and Philadelphia, and the state trooper gave him a fine, right? And then so Jack Johnson said, all right, no problem, and gave him double what he paid him. Like, if the fine was $100, he gave him $200.
I think the fine was $50, and he gave him
$100. So you heard this story. He gave him $100, and he said, "Keep that because I'm gonna go the same speed I did coming back that I did going up here. So go on and keep that right now, and that's the kind of defiance that he had. Joe Louis had to be quiet and docile and calm in order to keep his championship and his brand because of what Jack Johnson refused to do. So you can have room for both of those guys in your historical love. I definitely do. Jack Johnson, man. That Unforgivable Blackness is the book on Jack Johnson. If you look it up, it's one of the greatest books I've ever read. Unforgivable Blackness, Jack Johnson. That's number 2. And number 1 goes without saying. I don't even have to, go long on that. Muhammad Ali, Mr. Everything across the board. Muhammad Ali is the greatest athlete, greatest ambassador, greatest human being as an athlete that this country has ever seen and will ever see because of what he's accomplished both in the ring and outside of the ring as a true warrior. That's my pick 6. George Foreman, Joe Louis, Mike Tyson, Holyfield, Jack Johnson, Muhammad Ali.
Great list, great list. We got one more break to take, and then when we get back, we're going to try and put Mike on the spot for one more. Looks like Kyra's yelling at me. Yes. What, Kyra? Can we do it? What? All right, thank you. One more break. Bill Ford, Tough Studios, Grind City Media.
I never in a million years would have ever thought that John Cena's final run would be as a heel.
I love it.
I love it.
Once they saw this from The Rock,
They knew it. Everybody knew it except for Cody, which was so good.
Great camera work by
And then the
WWE.
kick. Yeah, I don't think WWE gets enough credit for the camera work and the production quality. I mean, it is incredible.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
We are in March, which is Women's History Month.
True.
And we were talking about how do we kick off the show? What can we talk about? And we were like, why don't we talk about women's shoes? The Sabrina one.
Okay, can't
That's
go
good
wrong.
shoe. Right?
That's a good shoe.
And the 2, you could argue, is even better. But the
you
one's
can't
fine.
have the 2 without the 1.
Yeah,
though.
in the month of February, the Sabrina 2 was the second most worn shoe in the NBA in minutes played.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Debo traded from San Francisco to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick. There's no other sport where you would get a player of his ilk for a 5th-round pick.
Over under total yards for Debo. If they set it at 1,000, you think he hits that over?
Total yards?
Total yards from scrimmage, total yards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Would you mind standing in front so everybody could get a good glimpse of this? This can't be the look of the season. This is not the look of the season, Jessica. Like.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. CJ Hurd and Mike Wallace in the Built for Tough Studios, Grind City Media. Mike, we're going to put you on the spot right now. So here it is. It's 1991.
Okay.
Babyface and Quincy Jones have joined forces to create an R&B album for a one-off supergroup, and they've hired you as A&R. Their goals are critical and crossover success to bridge the gap between young and old, and they want to have strong, reliable live performances.
Mm-hmm.
Here's who you can pick from. You need five.
Five. Okay.
Aaron Hall, Gerald Levert, El DeBarge, Casey from
Casey and JoJo.
Jodeci. Johnny Gill.
Woo. Okay.
Kevin Edmonds.
Yes.
Raphael Sadiq. James Ingram. Stokely Williams. Ralph Tresvant. Luther Vandross.
Oh, man. I got five.
You got five.
I got five.
You got five.
I got five on it. And it's how many are we talking about here? It's only, what is that, 4, 8? It's 11 right there.
It's 11. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. Number one overall pick.
Let's go.
Luther Vandross.
All right.
First and foremost.
All right.
You got to go Luther number one overall. Number two pick. And see, this is me, right? This is me. Number two pick, I got to go overall talent-wise from this group, Raphael Sadiq.
He'll give you some crossover.
Oh, my goodness. Raphael Sadiq. Yeah. Because of what he can do and the versatility. He could be a musician, or he can produce, or he can be a lead singer. And their voices kind of coordinate, too. You got, okay, number three, the greatest vocal guy, my favorite vocalist of all time, my favorite singer of all time, Johnny Gill. Johnny Gill is three. Johnny Gill is three right there.
Rub you the right way. Let's go.
All right. So if I'm going to go... So Sadiq takes out Ralph Tresvant, because of the vocal similarities.
Unless you're
right
trying
there.
to double down on that,
and unless you're trying to double down on that, and he kind of takes DeBarge out the way a little bit too. So I'm gonna go four. I'm on four now, right? I got three. I'm gonna go four. I'm gonna go KC.
All right.
Just because I need the ruggedness in the voice. I need the dude that's gonna just straight take off his shirt and just go out. I need the sex appeal to go with Luther's crooning and Sadiq's softness and Johnny Gill's like I need, man, if you get KC and Johnny going back and forth, man, it ain't gonna be no panties worn. The panties will no longer be worn in whatever facility we in. From that standpoint, right? This is for women. So let me go. Okay, Luther Vandross, Raphael Sadiq, Johnny Gill, KC from KC and JoJo. And this last one is going to be hard for me, man. It's really hard because everything in me wants to say El DeBarge, just because I respect El DeBarge so much. But I'm going to defer, and I'm going to go with my guy, Gerald Levert.
Okay.
And I might be doubling up on the sensual soul, heavy voice. But Gerald Levert, man, there's not a better beggar. There's not a better woman, you better get yours too, than Gerald Levert. You know what I'm saying? Like Gerald Levert to tell him. You know what I mean? So that's my five right there. Gerald Levert, Johnny Gill, KC, Raphael Sadiq, and Luther Vandross.
Thank you to Golden Era Stories for proposing this sort of thought exercise. I like that list a lot, Mike. That's some good stuff. And what you say, wasn't gonna be no
panties.
No
panties.
None.
No panties. All the panties are gonna be on the stage.
On the stage.
That's it. They're gonna all be there in that pile on the stage, man.
Yep.
All on the stage. All on the stage.
Hear the moisture when the dudes come on stage. Thank you guys for coming out and kicking it with us on HBCU Huddle. We'll be back next week with more HBCU news and notes. For Mike, I'm CJ. Everybody take care.